Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa Sorry, I had to move that out of the way. Okay, this is more comfortable for me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope you guys are doing wonderful. I know it's been a minute. I apologize. My friend actually told me, she said, you don't need to apologize because it's not like you're getting paid for it. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. I don't need to apologize, about it. And I realized, I'm getting your time, and to me, that's way more valuable than any dollar that anyone can ever give. So for that reason, I do feel indebted to you guys so greatly, and I do apologize. And I'm going to be honest with you because honesty is my number one policy. And at first it was because my tooth was hurting, but then I started to doubt myself, and fear started to creep in. And I think the hardest thing about making videos on YouTube is that you feel like you're shooting darts in the dark, and you just don't know what's picking up, what's not, and then the dunya starts to catch up with you, and you start to realize that you're not in the dunya, you're not succeeding the way that you should. And so I think that's the shaitan's way of telling me that maybe you should stop. Maybe this is just not for you, right? And then I was listening to a lecture that my old friend Salman Abdul Majid made at Al Yaqeen Institute. And he was saying that the smallest deed can go the longest distance in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I think it really is a very important thing to reinforce yourself that, okay, in the dunya you might not always get it, it might not always pan out the way you want it to, but what is your goal? What is your end goal? What do you want? And for me, my goal is you guys. My goal is the subscribers that I do have. And I really apologize for letting the dunya catch up to me. I shouldn't have let that happen. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I think every once in a while that is going to happen. And I think the beauty of that is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has this way of creeping into my heart. And it's almost a jump start for my intentions. And every time that happens, the video after it feels like the first video I ever make for you guys. And I just want to reach you guys, and I just want you guys to understand how valuable I consider your time. I really do appreciate every iota of time that you give me, and I'm so respectful of it. And I'm so happy to have you guys along. Okay, so on my Instagram, I have been a bit active with Instagram. So if you do not follow me, you should probably do so. That way, it won't feel like such a distance anymore. We'll also be in touch on Instagram. And if you guys have any questions, or if you guys have any video suggestions, I would love to hear them, and I would absolutely love interaction with you guys. It really means the universe to me because I have so much admiration and respect for you guys. And so a question I asked on my Instagram is like, what kind of videos would you guys want to see? And I actually got a response, and I just lost it. Okay. I would love a video on how to balance raising righteous kids but also exposing them to non-Muslims. For example, how do you handle the Santa situation without them ruining the mystery for other kids, or them going to homes that don't have halal meat or serving pork, etc. I think there's a lot of converts with mixed families that would be so interested in this as well. Okay, so I think I do have a video on being Muslim in America, right? And in that video I talk about it's not a big deal, you're in America, blah blah blah. But the audience for that video was more of an adult audience. I was speaking to adults that know better. But the audience for that video was more of an adult audience. I was speaking to adults that know better, that, okay, so what if you're in America? You don't have to try to conform, etc., etc. But what do you do when you're raising kids? What do you do when you have an infant that goes to school and they see Christmas and holidays, etc., etc.? Um, Honestly, I have a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I am faced with this dilemma. Um, and at first, I was very like, we don't believe in Santa Claus. We don't do this. We don't do that. But I mean, I was thinking about it in terms of how I would respond to that. And I think I would just do everything I can to learn even more about Santa, right? Like, I would try to absorb it and soak it in. And I think you just have to like go with the flow, and whatever they learn at school, they learn it. And you mention it at home every once in a while that like we're Muslim, and but at the same time, I don't think you guys should like stress so much about no, 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 because then they're just gonna wanna. In my experience, in the way I function, that's just who I am, and that's why I would imagine for other people to be the same. You know, like if you're told no, you're naturally going to want to do the reverse. It's really tricky though. It's really tricky because a lot of families don't have the option of living next to a masjid. But of course, if you do have the option of, of being within access to a mosque, absolutely that is the number one thing that I'm telling you guys. I mean, to be close to the masjid, to engage in the community of your mosque, um, and it's honestly so nice. I think I just started to return to my masjid. And it really is nice to get kind of close to a community. And it really is nice. Like, you don't have to worry about cliques. You don't have to worry. Everybody's there for the sake of the ummah. Everyone's there for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everybody's there to break bread together and to just be a community together. So I think showing our children what a community is. Another thing that I cannot even emphasize, especially if you're Arab speaking, but even if you're not Arab speaking, to teach your children Arabic and to teach them the language of the Quran and to allow their ears to be familiar with the Quran, allow their ears to be familiar with Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, etc., things that us as Muslims we say, and they should be familiar with our speech, the way we talk, the way we interact with each other, and they should be able to see Islam as an example. So you should always set the best precedent for your children through your actions and reinforce that you are this way because you are Muslim and that you love being Muslim, etc., etc. And as far as Santa Claus goes, man, you guys, my kids are only 3 and 2. So and I was thinking about this, and it's like a situation is only hypothetical until it isn't really. Every single situation is only hypothetical until it isn't. So please keep that in mind as I tell you this, because I don't know what the future holds, and I don't know how my kids are going to respond to what I have to tell them, right? But honestly, I tell my kids that Santa isn't real. I tell my kids that that we are Muslim. I tell my kids that we have two holidays, Eid and Ramadan, and I always try to reinforce that. Doing so. You asked about the halal. It's debatable because if you are a family that strictly eats halal, then just get them used to not eating meat at all, just to avoid the temptation of meat altogether. That way they don't have to ask. But you should know that if you're going to a Muslim's house, whether they are halal or not, whether they eat zabiha or not, I actually use the term zabiha, I don't use the term halal. Whether they are zabiha or not, you are not allowed to ask them, is this meat zabiha? Or if another Muslim in Islam comes to you and offers you meat, then you are not allowed to ask where this meat is from. It's happened to me in social gatherings, publicly, and I'm just like, yeah, I just think it's rude. I think it made me feel really uncomfortable, especially the meal that I had brought because I had worked so hard on it, and I was so excited to break bread, and I just came back home like, oh my God. I didn't even realize. And personally, I don't, personally, we eat zabiha at home. I cook zabiha meat, but when I go out, I am more than happy to eat from my Christian and Jews, the people of the book. So it really is complicated, because the thing is about being Muslim is we are actually liberated to follow the path that suits us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us options through different sects, and we are able to choose what works for us. So I don't know. So that's what I would say to that. If I think of anything else, I will let you know. And if you guys think of anything else, let me know, and have a conversation about it. Also, I want to talk to you guys about speaking to your kids in Arabic. I always do that. I always reinforce it. I always think it's so important to teach your kids the Arabic language. I always think honestly, I think they end up enjoying it when they get to speak to their grandparents or something like that. This is if you're Arab, but even if you're not Arab, they will appreciate it in the long run when they get to open the Quran and they have this immediate connection to it because they understand the language of the Quran. This is a book that my cousin published with her husband, and it was illustrated by her sister-in-law. So, and it's what I love about this book. One, the quality is really, really good. Okay. But another thing is that my Arabic is not that good, so it's easy even for me to read it to my kids. And when you little things like a book like this will allow your kids to appreciate the Arabic language and have discussions in Arabic, and they'll learn. And so this book is about opposites, and it teaches them. I actually learned a word from it. So it's. And I will post the link on this book below. And I really hope you guys will make a purchase of this book and support your Muslim sister. So I hope this video did you justice. I apologize for the distance. I apologize. I know it's been a while. But inshallah, I will see you guys next week. And continue. If you guys really have anything that you guys want me to discuss, you guys have anything you want me to work on or anything like that, just send me on Instagram and I am one to reply for sure. Thank you so much, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I hope you guys have a blessed day, and that your day is filled with endless blessing and endless goodness. And just don't forget to just count your blessings every step of the way, and remember that this life is nothing but a path towards our greater salvation, which is paradise, and that we should always, do this life. We should always live this life with the intention of living for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the intention of rejuvenating our intention for Him and for His sake and for His rida. And what rida means is for His blessing ultimately. And with that, I conclude. I'm not going to say Surah Al-Asr anymore, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but in the beginning of the video, I got a bit of criticism for only speaking in Arabic, and I actually make a very important point that these videos are not only for Arabs, and they're definitely not only for Muslims. So I'm trying to kind of balance the board, and I have to find a good conclusion in English. But the reason why I would always say the dua in the beginning and the Quranic chapter, which is Surah Al-Asr in the end, is because I just wanted Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessing in every single video, from being the introduction for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ending for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I will have to figure out how to do that in English. Inshallah khair. Which means, inshallah, with the will of God, khair means good. But it makes sense in Arabic. I don't know. But thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next week. And assalamu alaikum.